For years, I kept waiting to feel ready, waiting for life to calm down before I truly started living. Because beginning felt too big, too serious, too final. Then, I came across one line from the Buddha, and something quietly shifted. Not in a dramatic way, just enough. Just enough to stop waiting and look at what was already here. Today, that same line is for you. About 2,500 years ago, somewhere in what is now northern India, there stood a single large tree. Its leaves stirred gently in the evening breeze. The world around it was quiet. Just the distant call of a bird, slowly dissolving into the still air. The earth smelled of dry soil. At night, a canopy of stars spread wide overhead. Beneath that tree, a man sat alone. He wore a worn and simple robe. His eyes were closed, his spine gently upright. He had been sitting there for days. Night came, morning came, wind blew, rain fell, and still, he did not move. In that stillness, something was beginning, slowly, quietly, to shift. Not a grand shift, not a crack of thunder or a blinding light, but something more like the way ice melts in early spring, so gradually that no single moment can claim to be the turning. A breath came in, a breath went out, and the man noticed. He noticed not with excitement, not with grasping, but the way an old farmer notices the first green shoot pushing through winter soil, simply, plainly, without needing it to be more than it was. Something that had been held for a very long time began, at last, to rest. And the tree stood over him, as it had stood over countless seasons before, neither knowing nor not knowing what it had witnessed. The roots beneath him ran deep into the earth, older than any question he had ever carried. A passing fox stopped at the edge of the clearing, looked once in his direction, then continued on its way. The man's name was Gautama Siddhartha. He had been born into a royal family, raised in comfort, sheltered from the harder edges of the world. Then one day, he stepped outside the palace walls, and there he saw for the first time an old man, a sick man, and a body being carried away. Suffering that had been hidden from him all his life was suddenly, plainly there. Why do people suffer? Why must we grow old, fall ill, and die? He carried that question back through the palace gates, and then beyond them. He left behind his wife, his child, and everything he'd known. He had to find an answer. For years he traveled from teacher to teacher. He tried extreme fasting, pushing his body until there was almost nothing left, skin stretched over bone, hardly able to stand. Punish the body, he believed, and the mind will break through to truth. But the answer never came. One day he collapsed near a riverbank. A young village woman named Sujata found him there, said nothing, and went home. She came back carrying a bowl of warm rice porridge. "Please," she said quietly, "eat." He took the bowl and brought it to his lips. The warmth moved through him like something returning. And as he ate, something became clear. All this time I've been swinging between two extremes, punishing myself on one side, indulging myself on the other. Neither one has brought me any closer. He bathed in the river, let the water clear his body, and walked to the shade of a fig tree in a place called Bodh Gaya. He sat down on the earth. "I will not move from this place," he said quietly, "until I understand." Night fell. It said that Mara, the demon of illusion, appeared. Temptation, fear, confusion. Wave after wave of doubt rolled through him. But he didn't fight it. He didn't welcome it either. He simply watched. And as dawn came, as the morning star rose in the sky, something in him opened, quietly, completely. What we call awakening had arrived. Afterward, he is said to have spoken these words. How remarkable. Every living being already carries the light of awakening within them. They simply have not yet seen it. He hadn't gained some new and magical power. He hadn't traveled somewhere extraordinary. He had been sitting beneath a tree, on the ground, in an ordinary place. And in that stillness, he saw what had always already been there. From that day forward, Gautama Siddhartha became known by another name, the Buddha, the one who woke up, and for the next 45 years he walked, village to village, dusty road to dusty road, speaking to farmers and kings, merchants and outcasts, anyone who would sit and listen. He carried nothing but a robe and a bowl. Everything he needed, it turned out, was already in his hands. And perhaps that is worth sitting with for a moment, not as a thought, but as a feeling. You here in this seat, with whatever you carried through the door today. A monk once said that the bowl was never really empty. Even when it held nothing, it was still a bowl, still whole, still capable of receiving. And maybe that is what Sujata understood when she came back to the riverbank, when she could have simply walked on past a stranger collapsed in the dirt. She didn't offer him a doctrine or an answer, only something warm and the quiet belief that he was worth feeding. Now, what does any of this have to do with washing dishes? Sit with that for a moment. We tend to treat what happened under that tree as something extraordinary. That was him. That was the Buddha. That was a sacred place. But the Buddha himself said, every being already carries this light. Every one of us. Which raises a quiet, uncomfortable question. If it's already in us, why can't we find it? Perhaps because we're almost never actually here. We stand at the sink washing dishes while our mind rehearses tomorrow's meeting. We cook dinner while replaying something that went wrong yesterday. We sit with someone we love while half our attention drifts toward a notification. We are here in body, but somewhere else entirely in mind. So when dishes feel like a burden, what exactly feels heavy? Is it the cold water, the time it takes? From a Buddhist perspective, the answer is something like this. The dishes themselves aren't the problem. What makes it hard is the layer of thought we bring to them. I should be doing something more important right now. Someone else should handle this. I just want this to be over. Those shoulds, that gap between what is and what we think should be, that's where the suffering lives. Not in the water, not in the plates. In the story we're telling about the moment while the moment is happening. What the Buddha did under that tree was, in a sense, let those stories go quiet. He wasn't striving toward awakening. He wasn't pushing away discomfort. He was simply present to whatever was there. And here's the thing that matters most. We imagine that practice happens somewhere special. A monastery, a meditation cushion, a retreat. But the Buddha didn't wake up on a mountaintop or inside a temple. He woke up sitting on the ground under a tree in an ordinary place. Who decided that a kitchen couldn't hold that same quality of presence? Who decided that washing dishes couldn't be where we notice something true? That line between sacred space and just home, we drew it ourselves, and we can put it down ourselves. A monk once said that the moment he stopped treating the meditation hall as more holy than the bathroom, his practice finally had somewhere to live. Not because the hall meant less, but because everything else meant more. And perhaps that's the invitation hiding in ordinary moments, not to make them feel spiritual, but to stop quietly excusing ourselves from them. A woman I know said she spent 20 years waiting to feel ready to meditate, while every morning she stood at the same window, hands around the same cup of tea, watching the same light cross the same wall. The practice was already there, patient as anything, just waiting for her to stop walking past it. She didn't change the cup, or the window, or the hour. Let's make this concrete. Scene 1, a weeknight kitchen. You've come home tired, dinner is done, the table cleared, and now there's a pile of dishes waiting in the sink. You look at them, and something in you sinks. Notice that feeling. Don't judge it, just look at it gently. That heaviness isn't really about the dishes. It's a sigh that's carrying something. I don't want to spend my time this way. I deserve a rest. Can this just be over? But try this. Does I want to rest and I am washing dishes right now have to be in conflict? Turn on the tap. Feel the warmth reach your hands. Watch the soap foam rise. Feel the surface of the plate go clean beneath your fingers. Listen to the water. There's a difference between spending that time waiting for it to end and actually being in it. The first version, you're consuming the minutes. In the second, you're living inside them. That second version is closer to what the Buddha was doing under the tree. Scene 2, for parents in the middle of it all. If you're raising young children, you know this rhythm. The same plates dirtied, washed, stacked, and dirtied again. Every day, without end. That repetition wears something down. But consider this, when we say I am washing the dishes, there's an invisible split happening. I am the one who really wants to be elsewhere, and the dishes are what's keeping me. What if that split isn't quite real? The hands washing the bowl, the tiredness in your shoulders, the small sounds of a quiet house after bedtime. That whole picture is you, right now as you actually are. There's no real you waiting somewhere else while this version does the chores. This is you. This moment is yours. Scene 3, for those who feel the years in their body. Maybe standing at the sink is harder now than it used to be. Maybe your knees say something, or your lower back. That's real. There's no need to pretend otherwise, but often what multiplies the difficulty is a comparison that runs quietly underneath it. This didn't used to feel this way. The Buddha didn't teach us to celebrate change or mourn it. He asked us to simply see it clearly without the extra layer of wishing it were otherwise. If the body changes, perhaps the way we stand at the sink changes too. That's not loss. That's just what life is doing right now. And the soap still lathers, the water is still warm, the bowl in your hand still holds the same weight it always did. Maybe you lean against the counter now, where you once stood straight. Maybe you do half the dishes, then rest, then return. A monk I once heard described how, as an old man, he folded his robes more slowly, and found in that slowness something he had rushed past for decades. The task isn't smaller for taking longer. Here's something you can try tonight. Nothing dramatic, no commitment required, just this. When you begin washing up, spend the first 30 seconds only noticing the water. Turn on the tap. Feel the temperature reach your palms. Notice when it shifts from cool to warm. That's it. You don't need to make it meaningful. You don't need to achieve anything. Just the water on your hands right now. In the Buddha's time, students practiced this kind of returning throughout everything ordinary. Walking, eating, breathing. Not to gain some special ability, but simply to notice when the mind had wandered away and come back. Back to the soles of the feet on the ground. Back to the taste of food. Back to the breath. Dishwashing is a good place for this. There's so much to come back to. The sound of water, the feel of foam, the coolness of a rinsed surface, the warmth of the water again. When your mind floats off to tomorrow, come back to the warmth in your hands. When it pulls towards something that still stings, come back to the sound of the water. Just that. I won't promise it will transform everything. I won't say your mind will go quiet, but there may come a moment, small, easy to miss, when you're simply there. Not waiting for it to end, just there. From the outside, the Buddha looked like a man sitting under a tree doing nothing. These things often look like nothing from the outside. Your neighbor pausing at the kitchen sink. A monk in a small room, watching dust settle in afternoon light. A tired parent, hands in warm water after the children are finally asleep. Not yet reaching for the phone. Just standing there. Just breathing. Just the soap and the quiet and the ordinary weight of a day coming to rest. And perhaps that is enough. Perhaps that has always been enough. Just one question before we go. Today, was there a moment when you wanted something to just be over? And in that moment, was there anything there you didn't quite get to feel? No rush to answer. Just let the question sit with you for a little while. Like a stone dropped into still water, it will find its own depth in its own time. Maybe it surfaces tonight, in the quiet just before sleep. Maybe it rises weeks from now, while you're washing dishes or watching rain move across a window. And when it does, you don't have to do anything with it. Just let it be there. The way you'd let a tired traveler rest on your doorstep, without demanding to know where they've been. There's a monk I once heard of who kept a small bell on his writing desk. Not to ring, just to look at. He said it reminded him that some sounds are only beautiful because they're allowed to fade. This same spirit, finding the sacred in the ordinary, was at the heart of an earlier teaching we did on cleaning as a path to inner clarity. What happened beneath that tree wasn't something that fell from the sky. The Buddha didn't receive anything new. He simply stopped reaching and stopped running and stayed. In that stillness, what had always been there finally became visible. So I'll ask this gently. What separates a kitchen sink from the shade of a tree? What separates the sound of running water from wind moving through leaves? Presence isn't a place you travel to. It's what's left when you stop being somewhere else. Tonight, when you stand at the sink and turn on the water, let yourself feel it for just a moment. What's there may surprise you, or it may feel like nothing at all. That's okay too. Thank you for spending this time here today. It means something to me that you did. Even that nothing is worth meeting honestly. A monk once said he spent 3 years waiting for something profound to happen in his practice, only to realize the waiting itself had been the teaching all along. The ordinary doesn't ask us to be ready for it. It just keeps showing up. And perhaps that is the kindest thing about it. A cup of tea goes cold whether we are enlightened or exhausted, whether we showed up beautifully or barely at all. The dishes are there in the morning, the same as always. This too is the teaching. May we keep returning, not because we have finally gotten it right, but because the sink is there, and the water runs, and for one brief moment, we can let that be enough. Pause. Tonight, try just one thing. A small step is enough. One story a day. In a week, your words will change. In a month, your eyes will change. In a year, the same world will look completely different.